Heated Rivalry has taken the world by storm the past few weeks, and episode 5 is a major reason why. In this video, I'm going to break down one of the greatest episodes I have ever seen and explain why Heated Rivalry episode 5 is truly special. Alright, so the episode can be broken down into a few main parts, with the first of which being Shane and Rose's breakup dinner. It's an interesting scene because Shane and Rose have such a perfect dynamic on paper, but he is a gay man. Rose becomes the first person that he ever truly confides in, and she is the first person that actually finds out that he is gay. What's really interesting about this scene though is that Rose is trying to explain to him how they just won't work out because of this, and Shane is still trying to figure it all out. He's trying to understand his sexuality, trying to understand why he can't be with this seemingly perfect woman, and it's because some things you just can't work through. When Rose inquires what it's like for him being with another guy, there are certain scene cuts to Ilya and memories between the two of them, and it really shows that this is more than just lust, it is real love that he has for him. Alright, the second major part of this episode is the All-Star Game. So up until this point, again, Shane and Rose were dating, and Ilya was kind of losing his mind over this. That relationship was a big awakening for both of them, but Ilya realized that, yeah, maybe he does want something more serious with this man. So when Shane and Rose break up after all these months, and Ilya sees Shane at the All-Star Game, they quickly reconnect and be a little more honest with each other. One of my personal favorite moments from the episode is when Ilya is in the pool playing games with the kids and Shane is kind of watching on the side, because it's getting a little more wholesome, alright? Up until this point, it was a Wattpad fanfiction, it was super lustful and just kind of all over the place. This episode, things start to really narrow and we're seeing wholesomeness. We're seeing love, okay? So, at the actual All-Star Game, Ilya and Shane are playing on the same side for the first time. They of course score together. It is a wonderful moment that shows their chemistry and compatibility, something that will come up later on. After the game, they end up sitting on the beach together watching the sunset, and the director used such a great way of cinematography to show Ilya and Shane slowly getting closer and closer together as the show progresses. And this is another special moment of that. Okay, so there are a lot of significant moments in this episode, and I think that's why it's so well done, because every single moment, every single little scene that I'm talking about in this video is at least a 7 out of 10 in terms of importance, and you just don't see that often, you know, where shows have episodes so fucking stacked with significant events that everything is so important, you're so eagerly awaiting what a character is going to say next. This next scene is truly important, and it is where Shane and Ilya finally talk about their situation and what they are and how you can't keep going like this. For 10 years, this situationship just isn't sustainable. It has been almost a decade of confusion and Shane is done with it. This is the first real conversation they've ever had in the time they've known each other. Shane calls out Ilya's bullshit regarding the reality of their situation because it's not just sex, it's not just some casual friendship. There are real feelings here and they have to be addressed. So that's incredibly important, but then you add on to the fact that Shane is finally coming to terms with the fact that he is gay, and he straight up says it out loud. For the first time ever, Shane acknowledges, this is who I am, and I'm confused about it, but I want to say it, and it is the first step in really acknowledging and understanding who the hell you are. Another thing I really love about this scene, and also just the episode in general, is that they really let the scenes play out. They let the conversations go on like they're real conversations between two people. So again, Shane is kind of done, right? He's like, this is bullshit. You're lying to me if you're saying there's nothing going on here. And he says, if you could have it your way, would we be together? And this is the beginning of a big moment, because Ilya's whole thing throughout this story is his inability and unwillingness to be vulnerable, to allow people into his sphere and bubble, because he's done so much to protect others and protect his peace. This is the first time he's somewhat allowing someone into that sphere. Ilya finally gets vulnerable with Shane, and he reveals that his dad has dementia, and you can see him break down because he's held up this facade, this persona of who he's had to be for so long. Alright, The hoodie's coming off, it's getting steamy. Just to reiterate, okay, the first 4 episodes are like a Wattpad fan fiction. It is literally like my teenage sister would write when she was younger, and it was okay, you know what I mean? Like, it was meh, you know, the story was alright, but this episode is a complete tonal shift. It is a series of incredibly complicated situations and deep emotions that really make the episode special, and as I was watching this, I was like, this is fucking art. Like, this episode, and specifically the scene I'm about to talk about, is art. So Ilya's dad dies, right? His dad had been going through dementia and maybe other illnesses as he had gotten older. His dad passes away in Russia, and he goes back home and deals with a ton of fuckery per usual. Ilya's brother is a grade A douchebag, and it's something he's gotten away with for so long, probably because he blackmails Ilya in that he knows that Ilya's gay or bisexual or whatever. And after he finally cuts ties with his toxic brother in that relationship, he gives Shane a call and delivers one of the most amazing performances, acting I have ever seen in my entire life. So Ilya is in this little tunnel when he gives Shane a call, and I think this is where cinematography matters, right? You can expand the significance of a moment by how it looks and the lighting and the perspective, and I really can't say enough for how stunning that scene is in all ways, to be honest with you. Ilya is kind of at rock bottom, you know? His family is in shambles. He never wants to come back to Russia. His dad just died. He's dealing with his toxic brother, and he doesn't know if he can be with the love of his life. In a moment of absolute raw emotion and thoughts, Shane suggests that Ilya, instead of trying to figure out the words and just focus on saying what's right, he says, just say what's on your mind in Russian. It'll be easier for you. Ilya finally gets vulnerable, and he reveals the struggles of his dad dying, the burden of always taking care of his family and making sure things are perfect, and wanting so desperately to be his true self. In the final moments of the call, still in Russian, Ilya reveals to Shane that he loves him and how difficult it is to not be with him. And even though Shane didn't understand a lick of that, for the first time in his life, Ilya felt truly heard. Alright, even though it's a smaller moment, I think Shane getting absolutely fucking smashed during one of their games against each other is an incredibly significant moment. It's a perspective moment. Shane is hurt, and Ilya just came back from his dad dying, and they're playing against each other, and he's seeing the love of his life, who he still doesn't know what that is, and that situation's not sorted out, but this person that he loves gets absolutely mollywopped, and he is incredibly concerned. So Ilya visits him in the hospital, and again, that's really sweet and wholesome and like, whatever. But we get perhaps the greatest line in television history.
I was gonna ask you, Hollander, will you come to my cottage this summer?
It's such a goofy moment because Shane is trying to progress their relationship forward with a really significant question, all while he's hopped up on like pain meds. But again, just another way that this show and this episode specifically stacks all of these super significant moments in ways that push their relationship forward and who they are forward together. The final moment of the episode is a big one. Scott Hunter isn't really a main character in the show, but he's still someone that you root for, and so the ending of this and what it means going forward is huge. It's huge. So he wins the championship for his team, and after the ceremony, all of the players' families and loved ones come out, and he is alone. He's alone on the rink, and he sees that. And in this very moment, yet again, another perspective moment, he sees what life is all about. And after seeing Kip in the crowd, he knows that he can't hide anymore, because the fear just isn't worth it. In an absolutely epic coming out scene on the grandest of scales, Scott Hunter fucking goes for it. As the first hockey player to come out, he paves the way for others to have the courage to do the same. Real life sports icons like Megan Rapinoe, Billie Jean King, Carl Nassib would all be incredibly proud of this fictitious move because it still represents something incredibly special. Not only is it a big moment, just like, yay, you know, it's cool to see and a bit emotional and happy, but it also represents something really real in real life. People's lives have been destroyed throughout history simply because of who they are, and this is a moment that shows people the courage and that it's possible to be who you are on the greatest of scales. As the episode comes to a close, the ongoing music and Ilya's declaration to come to the cottage to accept the scary and the unknown of a relationship with Shane, viewers are left with a grand sense of hope and satisfaction. Look, I am not saying that this show is perfect, but what I hope you got out of my incredibly long rant about all of these different moments in one episode, stacked by the way, just absolutely stacked, is that we all have a battle within ourselves. That being said, it's important to be who we are, lean on who we can, and love who we love without an ounce of shame. Thanks for watching.